end up being the best things because you realize the people that you can rely on that love you and support you through, something like this. So it's I appreciate all their support. I tell them I'm okay. Things are going to be fine. This isn't ISIS. This isn't, no one's dying. But we'll get through this, and hopefully we can really start preparing for Seattle and get our mind focused there because they're going to take all my mental energy for the next 10 days.
This got blown out of proportion for no reason. Things got blown out of proportion for absolutely no reason.
I think the integrity of the game is very important. Integrity of the game is very important.
Tom, have you personally sought out anyone from the equipment staff just to ask them if they did anything with the football?
Yeah, and they haven't, and I believe them, and they also know that how I like the balls, and I tell them how great they are before the game, and how perfect job, great job. So they know how I like it, and that's exactly the way they are.
Tom, one last thing, Coach Belichick was out here earlier. I don't know what happened. You just said I don't know what happened. Yeah. Most of the football players believe that you two guys are the two most prepared guys for every situation in anything to this situation. If you weren't part of this team, you were sitting here, back at home, would you be saying, oh yeah, those guys they know everything else, did you think about this, or would you be skeptical?
Well, it's whoever opinion, everybody can have an opinion, Ron, and I think that, whatever opinion people have, that's okay by me. I think I put myself in this position where I can stand up here and deal with that. I know what I go through on a daily basis. I know the process that I take. I also know what's in my control and what's out of my control. So I think a lot of my whole life has been about focusing on the things that are in my control and trying to do the best with that opportunity and the best I can with it. If I don't know something, I don't know something. I don't know what to say other than that. I just know the process that I go through, and I'm very comfortable with it. And, hopefully we can, go forward and play a great game in a week from Sunday.
Tom, when you left the field on Sunday or drove home Sunday night, is this the last thing you'd ever think you'd be talking about come Thursday before you get Martero going?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I had no. Yeah. Thanks, guys. I think they said that's it about 10 minutes ago. So, thank you, guys. Goodbye.
All right, so Tom Brady wrapping up his news conference, discussing many details on the so-called Deflategate controversy. He was up there for quite a while, answering numerous questions, sometimes the same question over and over, and he categorically denies altering the footballs to gain any advantage. He says he simply likes the footballs, how he likes them, like many professional quarterbacks have said this entire week.
Yeah, he said he has a process. He goes in, he feels the balls, he says which ones he likes, and he says, he doesn't squeeze them, checking the air pressure. You can tell he's getting frustrated out there. We're going to go to Joey Marcino now, who has more about the press conference. Joe?
All right, things that stand out from listening to Tom Brady over the last 20 minutes or so right now is he comes right out and says he personally did not alter the football. I think you may have to believe Tom Brady on that one. He's a pretty honest guy as far as we've come to know him here over the last 14 or 15 years. He also says he didn't notice difference in the football from the first half to the second half. Even though we know at the beginning of the third quarter, the game was delayed quite a bit there as they said the balls were not ready for play. We've come to learn, and I think Brady even, acknowledged to a certain degree that there was something going on at halftime with a difference in the balls there, where they did go in, they found that 11 of those 12 footballs were deflated, or maybe they started that way for all we know at this point. This is still a mystery, but they were supposed to be at 12.5 according to Brady. They were 2 pounds below that according to the reports coming in from ESPN, which Brady is acknowledging and Belichick is acknowledging at this point as the NFL continues their investigation. So what we've learned here is that Tom Brady can't tell the difference between a football when it is 2 pounds lighter in terms of that pressure per square inch, and that's 15% less. So we're going to have to take him at his word on that as well right now. But the thing that stands out most right now is Tom Brady didn't clear anything up at all. Bill Belichick was more forthcoming than we thought he would be this morning, although he essentially passed the buck along. Brady wasn't really, I guess if he's telling us all he knows, he's as forthcoming as he can be, but we didn't learn anything more from Tom Brady over the last 20 minutes. Again, we're now passing the buck onto the NFL in this NFL investigation. Apparently, according to Brady, they haven't even called him to set up a meeting to talk about this, to interview him in any way. The one guy who handles those Patriots footballs, the one guy who picked out the game balls for that game and likes them at 12.5 on the PSI, they haven't even called him yet. You know, just hearing that immediately inside my mind is, did the NFL know that the Patriots had something going on with these footballs and they were out to get them when they came into this game from the beginning? Did the NFL set up ahead of time and say, we're going to measure these footballs at halftime and see where they are? Because they haven't let the Patriots in on this. They did not let the Patriots in on it at halftime or after the game. As if you believe Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and what they're saying, they had no knowledge of this until Monday morning, even though the NFL corrected the air pressure in those footballs at halftime and began an investigation. So it's the NFL that we all want to hear from now. What is their investigation? When did it begin? How were they tipped off? How long were they suspicious of the New England Patriots? And what is their finding and what is the punishment, if any?
Joe, also you talked about this a little bit too, that Brady said that he hadn't been talked to by investigators yet. In your experience, is it strange that the quarterback, who this is kind of all surrounding, hasn't been questioned by these investigators yet?
Obviously, I mean, if you're the NFL and you're doing this investigation, who are you going to call? Let's call Bill Belichick and see what he has to say about the subject. He doesn't know anything about it. Let's call Tom Brady and ask him what he knows on the subject. Then let's start interviewing the ball boys, the equipment staff, anyone that you can get, you know, the officials from the game. I mean, is it possible that they've started with the officials and they're still in the process of the investigation where they're interviewing the lead referee, Walt Anderson, to see what his findings were, how he saw those footballs before the game? I suppose so, but, you know, it's now Thursday. And the Super Bowl is now 10 days away. And the NFL, you would think by now, would have contacted Tom Brady and asked Tom, hey, Tom, did you notice any differences with the footballs?
Joe, keeping with the theme on this all happened because it is the Patriots. Look, many teams, many former players have come out saying, look, every quarterback likes the ball a certain way, whether it's overinflated, whether it's a little underinflated. Well, keeping with the theme you brought up about this is the Patriots, do you think this is only happening because of the past with the Patriots?
All right, okay, you could go back to Spygate, that's fair, but I'll also say this. No one cares what goes on with the worst teams in football. No one cares about the Jacksonville Jaguars, the pressure of their footballs, or what's going on inside and outside of their locker room. But when you're the New England Patriots, you go to the Super Bowl for a 6th time right now, you're in the AFC Championship game 4 years in a row, everyone cares. When you've got the best coach and the best quarterback, possibly in the history of the sport, everyone cares about this, and that's why it's a national story. If you come down here on the first preseason game, their national media is already here every year because it's the New England Patriots. They are a national story every week. So I think that alone brings this up a notch.
Joe, forgive me, but it just seems silly to think that Tom Brady would be back there before a game with a PSI gauge, going to each individual ball, taking air out to intentionally bring it down, specifically to PSI, as the allegations state there from that earlier report. And Brady seemed very sincere when he was talking about, I just like how a certain ball feels. He wasn't talking specific numbers all that much.
I believe Tom Brady and what he said. I think he comes out to the game here at Gillette Stadium this past Sunday for the AFC Championship game. They've got a collection of footballs. He picks them up and goes, that one's good. Boom, boom, that one's good. He counts off however many he needs, and that's the end of that. Now, what happened to these footballs? Were they originally under 12.5? That we don't know. The investigation may or may not tell us this. Tom Brady may have gone to a collection of footballs before that game and said, I like these 12 or 24, however many he picked out, and they may have all been 2 pounds under pressure to begin with. Now you have your lead referee. Walt Anderson comes in. He inspects the footballs. Did he unzip a bag, look in, and say, they look good to me? Or did he go through each one and did he stick a gauge in them? We may find out that he didn't stick a gauge in every one of those footballs, and it's possible they may have started that way. It's all speculation at this point, and it's a mystery.
All right, Joe, and do you think that maybe this is going to set the precedent for how things are done differently, change the way things are done before the games from now on? Because Brady had said that all the quarterbacks kind of have their own routine that they do before the games. Now, do you think that there's going to be kind of like a concrete set of rules that everyone has to go by so stuff like this doesn't happen?
Yeah, I would guess so. And it wouldn't be the first time the Patriots have played their role in a rule change in the NFL. I think that what will happen is the quarterbacks will still be able to pick out their footballs. The officials will measure each ball and weigh them in and record the exact weight and air pressure in each football. And then from this point forward, the officials will have control of those footballs. The team won't have their chance to get at them again, much like the kicking balls in the game. That'll be the end of that. That, again, just my opinion.
It's Adam and Kim. Is my mic on? Joe, it's Adam and Kim joining you now here on the set. And as we continue our coverage, just wanted to ask you, in your professional opinion, when you get into the minds of the players and the coach, with all of this going on, how can they possibly concentrate on 10 days from now? Or can they indeed?
Well, one thing they didn't have to do was answer a lot of questions about the Seahawks and whether or not they're going to win the game today. So I'm sure Bill Belichick is going to spin this. They're going to go with this us against the world. Everyone thinks we're cheaters. Everyone thinks we're bad guys. Everyone wants to see us lose. They're going to turn that into motivation. That's how it works in professional sports. Anytime they can put out that message that it's us against the world and everyone's out to get us and we need to stay together, and I suspect they're going to do that just like they always do.
And I also wanted to ask Joe, and you probably addressed this already, and we have to be careful, I guess, how we phrase this, but I've talked to people. I was at my mechanics yesterday, and they were talking about this whole deflated footballs. And the thing that I've heard from so many people, and maybe you have too, being close to the sport, is everyone does this. Every quarterback, manipulates the ball. If that's the case, is there any resolution to that, or is that just hearsay and that really doesn't prove anything or put this to rest?
Okay, so when it comes down to, are you a rules guy or are you not a rules guy? Do you cheat or do you not cheat? That's where the line is drawn here. And if the minimum air pressure PSI is 12.5, go down to 12.5 and don't go any further. Don't go to 13.5, which is within the limit as well. I think in terms of the manipulation of the football that you're hearing, these quarterbacks like the balls a certain way. They practice with these balls. They play with these footballs. They can beat them up. They can rough them up. They can put stick them on them. They can do whatever they want. But when it comes to the air pressure, there is a rule in the NFL rule book that says it needs to be between 12.5 and 13.5. So when you hear that everyone manipulates the ball, sure they do it. And do people probably test it and say, hey, can I take it down to 12 and get away with it? Can I take it down to 11? I'm sure they do, and I'm sure the officials catch them sometimes and say, hey, let's pump these up. But this is 2 pounds below in 11 of 12 balls.
And Joe, we know that the NFL has not spoken to Tom Brady so far about the investigation. Tom Brady says he would not break any rules. And so if rules are broken, that's not right. But if we look at the AFC Championship, did the second half change considerably once they had balls now inflated according to the rules?
Well, it changed in a good way for the Patriots because they outscored them 28-0 in the second half compared to 17-7 in the first half. I was surprised to hear that Tom Brady wouldn't know the difference in the weight of a football, but, I don't have 2 footballs in my hands right now, one weighing, 13.5 and one weighing 10 or 12.5 and 11. I don't have that right now, so I can't answer the question. But in terms of what Brady said, he said he couldn't tell the difference, and I believe him. I'm going to take him at his word on that.
All right, Joe, we'll talk to you in seconds, but for now, you are watching 7 News at 5 p.m.
7 News at 5 starts.
And we're talking about